no get the time for the hate and the bad energy. Got my mind on my money. Make you dance like broccoli. Steady green like broccoli. Steady on my grind, oh yeah, what they want telling me. Could deny my fantasy. They want to check if my tap ain't no wrong. But it they rush well, it be much. Now gotta make my tap, it they rush. The kind money we touch, yeah. It they rush well, it be much. No be hype, everybody they crush. There's no darling with us. You fool me jackpata, I dey go Ghana. You never thought you dey from papas. Which kind money we never see before. Cause hello me, got me feeling I'm the one. Ajay. Can never take my cake away. Ajay, you can't count my grace. I just did my lane. Me no get the time for the hate and the bad energy. Got my mind on my money. Make you dance like broccoli. Steady green like broccoli. Steady on my grind, oh yeah, what they want telling me. Could deny my fantasy. They want to check if my tap ain't no wrong. But it they rush well, it be much. Now gotta make my tap, it they rush. The kind money we touch, yeah. It they rush well, it be much. No be hype, everybody they crush. There's no darling with us. Cause it they rush well, it be much. Now gotta make my tap, it they rush. The kind money we touch. It they rush well, it be much. No be hype, everybody they crush. There's no darling with us. There's no darling. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, guys. Welcome to our webinar. I'm very glad to have each and every one of us here. We see people from Nairobi, South Africa. Wow. Even as you are rushing into this session, please do well to rush in and drag your peers along. It is our SQL exam prep. So bring in, don't snooze. Tell your peers not to snooze on the e-up. Drag them in here, and make sure that they are here too. Welcome, guys. Welcome, and welcome. We are rushing in, guys. So yeah, the next slide, please, Byron. Yeah, yes, you meet your wonderful and amazing host. That is me, Anibiet Kudo, your community ambassador. And we have Byron, your data scientist and technical mentor. I mean, you guys should be giving us some emojis like we are here to host you guys in this session. We are here to make this SQL exam prep something you will always, lead back on. So yeah, welcome, guys. Thank you. I see the emojis. Like, I'm touched. Okay, on to our agenda. We have our rules of engagement. We have our main session. We have our Q&A. We have our support channels. And yes, we have updates and announcements that you wouldn't want to miss on. So if you have your peers that are not here, please drag them in. A story that is told from the horse's mouth is the sweetest story you ever hear. So let them come and hear it from our mouth. So, guys, drag your peers in and bring them in. Now, on to our rules of engagement as we continue. Next slide, please. On to our rules of engagement. Please, if you got any questions, please post them on the Q&A session. We have our TMs who are available to answer our technical questions. And I'm here to answer any question you guys got on community. And yes, please, make sure to use the chat feature liberally and respectfully. Please use it liberally and respectfully. Don't drag anybody here. So also, please listen, learn, and engage. You didn't come here to while away time. So don't drop your screen and go and do something else. Please come to listen, come to learn, and yeah, engage, guys. And then onto our main session, guys. If you're not giving us the claps, if you're not giving us the emojis, the love, please put your hands together, put those love reactions together. I mean, make them for Byron. Not busy like no, I'm not going to let take over. So let's get it on. Let's get it on, guys. I see the love, I see the emojis. That's good. Thank you, guys. On to you, Byron.
Ah, hello. Um, hi. Good morning from this side. Hope you can hear me. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. All right. So, I would share my screen very soon so we can start working proper. Yeah. So, welcome once again to another session. And let me just share my desktop. Okay. Uh, hmm. Sorry, having issues with sharing, but I will do that very soon. Very soon. Okay. I'm sure you can see my screen. Awesome. Okay. So I think we can start. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so sorry about the whole delay, but now let's start. All right. Um, this is meant to be an SQL prep, exam prep, but I hope we are not expecting to come and get answers to exams. But what we are trying to do here is to recap on what we've done so far, because this is more like the opportunity would have, and what you would get would probably help you, or would definitely help you in scaling through. Now we are not focused so much on just how to pass interviews or exams, but on how to really be effective even in your workplace. Okay. So, but it's still an exam prep. Okay. So we are preparing you for your exams. I know that some persons would have probably done theirs. So, but you're going to enjoy a lot of things. I believe so. And I assure you. Okay. So I like looking at the charts. All right. So please if you have if you are exchanging pleasantries, you could stop now. You could just pause, all right, and so that we can use the chat for something that aligns with today's session. If you have questions that need immediate answers, you could put them in Q&A, just like Aniebet mentioned. Yeah. So for now, let's want to try and do a recap, right? Let's start with data, the word data. Yes. Could someone just give me like maybe one or two words, few words about your understanding of data? What is data? If you're asked what data is, can you recall? Can you recall what data is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm looking at the charts right now. Information, raw facts. Somebody is asking in the chat. I think that should be posted in the Q&A, okay? Because this question does not align with the word data. Okay, yes, collection of information, raw facts, raw figures. Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, on process. Wow, I'm learning. I'm learning. That's why I like this interactive classes, because I get to learn as well. Okay, so I fully agree with a lot of you. Okay, but now let's establish something here about data. I think I want to say maybe what data is not. All right. So data is not, don't shoot me, information. Wow. Well, I told you it's gonna be interesting, right? So we want to do more like hacks, tricks, and little stuff that you might not hear in other places. All right. So these are like the perks we want to give you. Okay. So data is not information. Um, can you guys remember? I think in one of your walkthrough videos, did you see something like DIKW? Somebody's asking if network is, can you, if you can hear me very audibly and you can see me clearly, thumbs up, please. So I know that it's not an issue from my end. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you guys remember DIKW? Did you see anything like this? I'm sure when you were watching those early videos, you just watched and passed. You didn't record something like this. Okay. So D stands for data, right? I stands for what? Information. Then the K stands for knowledge, knowledge. And the W is what? What's W? What's W here? What's wisdom? Exactly. Wisdom. So you see, in the general English term, you could be permitted to say that data is information, okay, in the general term. But when we come into the proper data field, it's just like somebody studying English language. There are certain things that that person would know about some basic things in English that you'll be surprised if you hear the person explain it to you. Do you understand? So there is a level of understanding you need to have. There is something called data literacy, right? So data literacy is just the ability to maybe understand data and communicate data, which everybody, all institutions, all companies need to know despite your level of your professionalism or your profession. Okay, so everybody has to be data literate because we are now in a world of data, right? So now the thing here is, in this space where everybody is permitted to be a data literate, what makes you stand out, what makes you different from those persons? It's not a competition, but there, what, why would you be a data analyst when we have every other person being able to analyze their data? So you need to have a source that makes your profession different, and one of the perks is that you understand things to the root of it, the real thing about it. All right. So this is one of those things. Is a misconception that data is information, but this is a breakdown. Data is not information, but it can become information. All right. So it is a processed data. I think I saw somebody put that in the chat. Is a processed data. All right. Is a processed data. And we are going to explain some things. Okay. Hopefully. So when we say data, we can say that data is maybe raw, maybe observations, what else? We could just values, anything that is raw. In short, data comes from a Latin word. Did I plan to do this? No. Data comes from a Latin word called datum. Okay. And this means it kind of means something that is giving, okay, like to give or something like that. Yeah, to give. All right, so it's more like something that is being given. In short, the it's from philosophy point of view. It's from a philosophical point of view. All right, so let's not go beyond this part. So you can see that what you are learning is beyond just the tools that you are using. We are trying to establish the logic that makes your tools effective. All right. So this is what data is. In short, some of you could say data is facts. There is a possibility in that. It's true, data could be facts. But you see, when you say facts, what do you mean by facts? Facts is something that is true. Okay, that fact is something that is true, isn't it? Yeah, but um it's not everything that you get that becomes true, isn't it? So that means it won't be very okay to call every data facts, but every fact is a data. Do you get it? Okay. All right, like I said, this is more like a recap. All right, we are still going to talk about the exam prep. Okay, so it's just for you to know these things. All right, so um after data we have information. After information we have knowledge. After knowledge we have wisdom. So the whole idea of the data analyst is to get to the point of wisdom. All right, is to get to the point of wisdom. So example of data could be you maybe something like 50% say Lagos, 34. Now, this is data. These are some people could say data is maybe a pieces of information or fragments of information. This is data. Does it make sense? Does this make sense? Does this make sense? This is data. Um, you could try if it makes sense. If you believe that it makes sense, I'm not saying it does not make sense. I'm just asking, I'm just asking. So if it makes sense, you could just tell me what this means. You could just tell me what this means. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So nobody sees it as something sensible, right? Okay. Now let's go to information. So when we go to information, this can now say 50% population. All right. Lagos State, Nigeria, 34 years old. You see, information is not even the final point. Information now adds something to the data. It's like, a higher layer of data. So with this, does it make sense? Does this make sense? Yeah, I feel like it makes sense, right? I feel like it makes sense, right? Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. So now we have in this, so it's giving context to the data, all right? Then we go further to knowledge. So knowledge would probably say something like um maybe 50% of um 50% of Lagos states in Nigeria are 34 years old. Are you seeing the connection? So you see that there is a progress from here, data. It goes into information, which adds context or an extra layer to the data. And then when you continue processing it, it comes to knowledge, which is something that gives more understanding or more meaning to the information that has been spread. Okay. And then we have knowledge. But what's the difference in wisdom? Why do we have wisdom? Now, wisdom is like the most difficult part of it, actually, in terms of the analysis. All right. So when we say wisdom, wisdom is like saying it's like the application of this knowledge. This is for me to know. But when we talk about wisdom, wisdom is something that has to do with putting this knowledge into action. So when we say something like 50% of Lagos State in Nigeria are 34 years old, wisdom could say something like, um maybe focus on the 34 years old niche to acquire the usage from 50% of Lagos State. Do we get it now? Yeah. Do we get it now? Let me see if I can reduce this. Can I still reduce this? So far, this is what we talked about. We started from data, okay? And then we got into information, which is an extra layer or, giving more meaning to the data, but it doesn't stop there. Then we go to knowledge, then we go to wisdom, okay? So this, you can see that knowledge is just telling us that 50% of Lagos State in Nigeria are 34 years old. So the wisdom is what people usually call something like so what. Okay. So that is the question is answering. So this is saying so what. Okay. So it's like, okay, based on this knowledge, what should we do? So that is what wisdom does. All right. So especially people going into like data science, and all those things, you find out that this is like the drive, the focus of it, trying to do predictions on what to do, on what to achieve, and all those things. But the prediction is based on, the building of this. That is why if you want to become a data scientist, you have to pass through the journey of data analysis, because data analysis is the one that is going to get the raw data, do all these processes, get to this point, and then you can now start building models, to talk about decisions that the stakeholders should take, based on the knowledge that you've eventually built. Okay, so these are the processes of of data analysis. All right. In short, data science is still under the word analytics. Okay. So these are the processes. Even as a data analyst, when you get to the point of the Power BI and all those stuff, you would see how to use, how to even get to this point, because you would have to, communicate these things and now mention what should be done. Thank God you are doing Margin Dogo projects. So you are seeing how the queries you are doing are actually contributing to decision-making process, right? So this is what a full-fledged analyst should focus on how to go through the data, to the information, to the knowledge, and then to wisdom. All right. So, yep. So that is to just give you more context to the things that you've been learning. Hope you get it to that point, right? Awesome. Awesome. All right. So what is gonna happen now is I want to go into another part. I'm not gonna take so much of your time. And this is database. So yes. So when we say database, what do you think? When we say database, what do you think? Yes, let's go to the chat. When we say database, what do you think? Or what do we know about database? What is a database? Storage, thank you. Okay, let's go. Reservoir of data. Awesome, interesting. Where info are stored. Nice. Data is stored, collection of entities, a collection of information, library of data. Awesome. This is very beautiful. Now, I'm very glad that a lot of you already know the idea of the what database is. Okay, when you get into data engineering, for those that will be going into data engineering, you are going to see a demarcation between what is called database and data warehouse. You know, that's when you understand there are very little differences, but I believe that if you pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, it's going to help you, even though you are going to stay at data analysis or forward yourself to data science or get into data engineering. So just pay attention. I want to rock a little boat here. Okay. So now, database, I'm just going to tell you what database is not. So um database, let's just do what it is. Database is not a tool. Database is not a tool. All right. What is it? It is a concept. Am I confusing somebody here? So it's just for you to understand. This is more like a root understanding. It's for you to understand that when we say database, you see all the definitions you made are very correct. But I want you to have it at the back of your mind that the definitions you made are actually focused on the concept. It's not focused on a tool. So that means let me copy one of your definitions. I'll just randomly pick a definition. So I would pick the last one here by Chukuneta. So Chukuneta says that database is a collection of data stored in a particular format. I would probably adjust this a little. So I would accept that it is a collection of data, and I know that it is stored in a particular format, but I want to redefine this particular format. So I would say it is a collection of data stored in a structured format. That's just what I want to do. So it's the same thing you said, but I'm just trying to explain what that particular format is. So that particular format is a structured format. Okay. So it's a collection of data stored in a structured format. When we talk of a structured format, we are talking about in rows and columns. Okay, that's what it means. Or we are going to say or in a table format. Okay. So now that means that almost anything that can accommodate data in rows and columns can be a database. So are we saying that Excel can be a database? Can Excel be a database? Can we call Excel a database? Mhm. There is a debate going on here, and I like the yes and no's. You know, they have some form of rhythm. I feel like, turning this to a song. Okay, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. All right, it's fine. So I fully agree with you. It's almost becoming a controversial topic here right now. But let me explain it to you. Yes, somebody said it is a spreadsheet, so it is not a database. Now, that is because you've probably not grasped it that we are talking of database as a concept, not a tool. Spreadsheets are tools. Spreadsheets are apps, but spreadsheet could do many things. I can use a spreadsheet to create a price list, isn't it? I could use it to do something else. I could use it to create a calculator that automates. I could even use that to write minutes, right? I could use spreadsheet to do multiple things. So it's just like saying that um um price list is not a tool. Why? Because I could use anything to create a price list. Do you understand my point? I could use my notepad, I could use my jotter, okay? I could use anything to create a price list. So if I create a price list in, say, my Microsoft Word, does that make Microsoft Word able to process price list? Yes, because I can create a price list there. But does that make Microsoft Word a tool for price lists? No. Price list is just one of those things that Microsoft Word can handle, because the price list is not a tool on its own, it's just a concept. Do we understand that point? Yeah. So Excel is is a spreadsheet. That is the tool. That's what it's designed for. Is a spreadsheet. But database is not a tool. Database is a concept. So anything that can accommodate rows and columns can do what database is meant to do. All right. So I can use Excel to create an app. Like the database is going to be, resident in that Excel spreadsheet, feeding the app. That is what SQL is. That is what Postgres is. That is what other things are. It's in rows and columns. There's the difference between the spreadsheets being used and the databases we know. All right. We are going to see why it is not exactly database you should really call some of those things. Okay. We mix database with another term, which I would explain now, but have it at the back of your mind that a database is a concept, it is not a tool. Anything that can accommodate things in columns and rows can fit in to be called a database. Even your notebook, when you do that in rows and columns and start recording things in it, that is okay to be called a database, because it fits this, a collection of data stored in a structured format. So if I write, the people that have shops, people that have shops that have those books, and they draw their lines, and they are putting the person that bought the item that was bought, the number of items, and the price. What they have created is a database with their book, because that book is a collection of data that is stored in a structured format. This alone is what is happening in that book, isn't it? That book collects data, right? And it is stored in that book, right? And it is in a structured format in terms of rows and columns. So this is the entire definition of database. Then why should we say that is not a database? But if you understand this as a concept, it's going to help you. So you can just slip over it, suck orange, so it's going to digest and you will get it. Okay? Okay. Now, when we go further, there is what we call DBMS. All right? Now, this is what is going to help the confusion. When we say DBMS, what we mean is database management systems. All right. So is calculator a computer? Is calculator a computer? Yes or no? Is calculator a computer? It is. It's okay. Another controversial topic. No, actually, this one, let's not argue. Let's not argue. So if you go and check it, yes, a calculator is a computer. This is what makes you understand. Computer technology is an evolution. It evolves. It comes from somewhere. It doesn't replace it. It just adds to it. Okay. So when we talk about database, it's in that same format. Okay. There was nothing like SQL from beginning, but people were storing data. People were collecting data. Okay. We had the hard copy books and all those things going on, but it was because things were becoming robust, things were becoming complicated. That is why tools started coming in so that it can handle some of these things, automate some of these things. So it does not replace those things. It kind of augments the logic. All right. So database existed before MySQL. Database existed before the things that even before the spreadsheets. Okay, people were doing database, all right, but not in this manner. So you need to understand that part. The same thing with computer. Okay, so the calculator and all those things. A result of Computer was a result of mathematics, isn't it? It was because of mathematics computer was built. Okay, when we start talking about the abacus and all those things, right? So yeah, so that's just it. So database management system now is one of those, is the tools, or they are the tools that were built to specifically, okay, so they were specifically built for robust databases. So now this is a tool that was built for database. That is why you might argue that spreadsheets is not a database. No, what you should say is spreadsheets is not a database management system. All right. So it can accommodate that concept, but it was not built for that purpose. All right. So there are management systems. So that is where you talk about, it is under DBMS. You talk about the likes of MySQL, you talk about Postgres, SQL, and so on. Okay. So, yep. I hope I have been able to convince you and not to confuse you. All right, no problem. So hope you are good. Yes, yeah. We see SQLite and the rest. Yeah, thumbs up if this session you learned some things new. Yeah, I know that some persons would have probably understood or known some things before now. So thumbs up if you learned, thumbs down if you are still confused. Okay, so the intention is not to confuse you. Okay, so yeah, so these are things that makes you unique, makes you a real data person, when you can understand these things. If you can build your foundation strong enough in any data field, there is almost no level you won't be able to attain. Okay, but a lot of persons skip the foundation, and that's where the problem comes in. All right, so this is what we are trying to achieve for you, give you like a solid foundation. Okay, so I will just go straight into the today's work. So let me go to, oh, I'm trying to open my workbench. I don't know why these guys decided to fail me today. Okay, so here is the workbench. I just want to so there is we what we did was to help you, for those persons that might be more comfortable with my SQL workbench. So we have created the exam question in my SQL format. So that's it here. TMDB is going to be attached to this file, the slides, when they'll be shared to you, so you can have access to the SQL file. So you just run it and it's going to open. So you can run your exam questions here and still get your answers, and then you go and answer them in Athena. Okay. So but let's so this is it. So if I say um remember you have to do use database, so that's TMDB. Okay. And then it shows this, so it is dark here. All right, so that means it's working. Then I would say let's say show tables. So if you want to run your command enter or control enter is going to run the command or the query you did, all right, for where your cursor is. So if you just do control enter, it's going to give you. So these are all the tables in the database. All right. We'll still get to Jupyter Notebook. So I just want to switch between both aspects. Now, I also want to explain a little thing here. All right. I also want to explain. Some persons are saying they prefer. Don't worry. I'm going to explain when and why my SQL Workbench works. Okay, and when Jupyter Notebook works. So it's not just use of tools that we are trying to do here. So there is a why behind those things, and you would know it today. All right. So now, when we want to do something like this, we usually say select all. Okay, from, let's say, what tables do we have here? Let's say from actors. Okay, so we have this data. Now the thing is, in the real production, it's not advisable for you to use select all, select asterisk. Why? Because when you say select all, it scans the entire data and brings it. So if you're working with a company that has very large data sets, when you do select all, especially if it is a cloud-based something, like when we say cloud-based, the data exists in the cloud. It's not in the local machine. All right. So all those things that exist in the cloud, when you hear cloud-based, just know that you are hearing money, because anything that happens in the cloud, you are being charged. So imagine that you are being charged per query that has been per row that has been that is being scanned, and your company now has, like, say, 1 million rows. That is, and maybe the information you want to get is just one row or 5 rows. Then you now do select all from actors. What you are doing is that something that your company would have paid for 5 rows, your company is now paying for 1 million rows. That's bad. And as bad as that can be, it could be your advantage. Why? Because this is where you can come in to say, okay, these are the things that have been going on. And so I'm going to, like, save the company, some expenses by adjusting my query. So instead of saying select all from this, it's better for, imagine there were like 5,000 columns, or let's not go too far. You could have some data sets that has like maybe 20 columns or 40 columns, but what you need is just 3 columns. So why would you say select all? So instead, just mention the name. Like now, I want to see the actors and the agenda. Okay. So what I just need is the actor name. What I just need here is the actor name and the gender. So why am I going to run, something that I don't need the ID? Okay, so that is why you need to understand the business problem, all right, so that you understand what you should do. As a data analyst, you should not run into just analyzing. You should analyze what really matters. Okay, that's how you improve efficiency, you save costs, and you bring up professionalism. Okay. All right. So this is just one of those things. So try to avoid select asterisk when necessary, when possible. Okay. So what else? Okay, so I want to use let me use another database. I think we use this when we're doing something for Mowanwa. So let me see the tables. Let me look at employees. Select all from employees. Let me just limit it to 4. So now, I want to show you something here. I did select all from employees, right? So let me do a count. Select count. I want to write 2 queries, and I want you to tell me why it's so. Reports to. Okay. So now you see, I'm doing a select all from employees. I'm doing a count. Okay. So if I count this, all of them, it's showing me 8. But I'm not counting one of those columns. Okay. I'm counting one of those columns, which is the reports to column, and I'm seeing 7. Why do I have 8 for counting, for in the same table? Why do I have counts giving me 8 and counts giving me 7? Yes, in the chat. One is the title, duplicate. I'm asking a question. Somebody's asking me back. Bless you. Okay. Yes. Because you already mentioned the 8 title reports to is counted, while the other is not. Okay, let me not turn this into a brainstorming session. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. I like the way you are thinking. Okay. So let's see. Now, what I want to show you is the difference between counts. What I want to show you is the difference between counts, count all versus count column name. Yep. Some people, okay, okay. Don't worry, don't worry. I can see your charts. Don't worry. Let me give you that. Just calm down. And please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is a very subtle thing that has caused a lot of problems. You see, you can make analysis, you can write queries and get results, but the results are wrong. All right. So let's see. This is one of those things that causes those problems. All right. And I learned this the hard way. So I want you to learn it the soft way, even though we are doing hard things, but it is for the soft life. Okay. So now look at what's happening here. I want to do this. So we are looking at, let's look at this. This is employee ID, last name, first name. So indeed, there are 8, right? But look at the reports to column. What can you see here? This is the reports to column. Is there anything that will make this 7? There is a null. There is a null. Exactly. Thank you very much. Now we are analyzing. So here is the difference. When you use count all, when you use count asterisk, it ignores the nulls. Okay? But when you use count, for a column name. Okay, sorry. When you use count asterisk, it counts with the nulls. It includes the nulls. But when you count column name, it ignores the nulls. So that means if if a table has 8 records, if a table has 8 records and column A has 5 records, okay, this is what's going to happen. If I do count of asterisk, the answer is going to give me 8. The answer is going to give me 8. But if I do count of column A, the answer is going to be 5. So it's going to give me 8 if I do count asterisk, because it will count with the nulls. But if I do count for a particular column that has nulls, it would ignore, it is going to ignore those nulls and counts only values that are not nulls. Okay, so yeah, that's it. All right, so it's just for you to know that. All right, so let's see how we can go. The last thing I would do before we get into just few analysis in the Jupyter notebook, okay, is the last thing I will do before that is order of execution. Yep, I feel like order of execution. How many of you have issues with order of execution? Thumbs up, no, thumbs down if you have issues with order of execution, understanding order of execution. Thumbs down if you are not understanding order of, if you understand order of execution, thumbs up. Okay, it's thumbs up or thumbs down I'm asking for, but I'm seeing some people opening their mouth. Okay, I think so we can skip the order of execution, right? So since it's like there's no thumbs down, so that means people, oh okay, I see, oh I see. Okay, it's because I want to quickly get into the notebook. All right, so let's just do this. Okay, let's understand. I want to explain one concept. Please pay attention. The easiest way to write the order of execution to understand it is it starts from the word from, okay? Then you'd say where. This is how I write mine. Like if I want to understand the order of execution, I don't need to explain what order of execution is, right? It's English. It's the order in which the query executes. Okay, so that means the query, SQL query, does not execute based on the way you write it. It has its own way of executing. So the way you write it is the syntax, but there is an order of execution. Okay, and I will explain to you here. So what I do is from where, then I know that the last thing that executes is the limit. All right, other things would come in between. All right, so now there is a from, there is a where. Okay, then please, those that are asking for TMDB database, I said that the link to download the query is going to be attached to this these slides when they are being shared. Okay, so you would see that you click it and download it when after this webinar is going to it is going to be shared to across to you. Okay, so now there is a from, there is a where, there is a limit. Limit is the last thing. That's why I'm putting it here. So this means that it's going to execute with from. Then after where we have select. Okay, I think before limits there is also order by. Yeah, there are other things that comes in between. All right, there is something you can after from, there is join, then where, then there is group by, and having, you know, then after select there's distinct. This like the full one. This is like the full one. Okay. But I don't want to make it too heavy right now. I want to just explain. All these are like secondary parts, right? So we are not doing joints and all this. Okay. So, but this is more like the basic part. So we know that it starts with from and ends with limits. Okay, that's the order. All right. The last thing that it will do is limits. Okay, limit or offsets. Okay, so offsets has a kind of it's like limit as well. So, but let me just remove this. So it's not going to be okay. So what do I mean? Let me do it. Let me do something. Let me write something. Let me write something here. Maybe I'll use that to explain. So I want to say something like let's see. Let me see if we can. What table can we use? Okay, let me just use this table, the employee table. So I want to say select, let me just say select from, okay, where. So I want to say select employee, select last name, first name, from employees, right? Where reports to, these people reports to this, where reports to is equal to 2. Will this query work or not? Do you know why I'm asking? I'm asking because this these this I'm filtering it based on reports. Okay, I'm filtering it based on reports. So will this query work or not? Report is not in this select clause. So is this going to work? Is this going to work? I think it's, unfortunately for a lot of us, it's going to work. Oh, why is it not working? I think it's working for something else. Unknown column reports. Okay, reports to. Yep. So you see, it's working despite the fact that I did not put report to in this particular select clause. Let me paste this in the explanation so that you would understand. That's why I said you should pay attention. Okay, that's why I said you should pay attention. So this is an example here. Okay, so select last name, first name from employees, report to. So the thing here is that this is the order of execution from where select. That means that the table, the query is going to start with this from. So this is number one. It's starting from here. Okay. The order of execution starts from this from. So it first loads all the columns of the table. Okay. It loads the columns of the table. Then the next thing is going to filter it. Okay. It's going to filter the table. So filter is done immediately after the from. That means this is the second thing that happens in the order of execution. Okay, let me see if I can just change this syntax. Okay, so you see that the second thing that is happening here is the where, right? Then the last thing or the third thing that is happening here is the select. Do you understand my point? So in the order of execution, what happens here is that even though this is how I wrote it, select this from employees where reports to this, it did not execute based on how I wrote it. This is syntax. Instead, it executed based on the order of execution. It has a way of executing. So instead of starting from select, if it was executing based on how I wrote it, this would have been a problem. It would have given me an error. You know why? Because I only declared 2 columns here. So this column reports to does not exist in the select statement. So it wouldn't have worked. But because this is not how the order of execution runs, order execution starts from, then where, then select. So it is around this time that it now brought out only these 2 columns. But that was after the filtering has happened. Do we understand? So that is how order of execution works. Okay, that is why you need to know order of execution. Okay, it explains to you so you can easily use that to troubleshoot. Okay, let me give you maybe one more example. So let's say select this from now. Can you people give me, somebody should just give me concatenation. Like if I want to do the full name for this, last name and first name, what's the syntax? What's the syntax for last name and first name? Okay, I want to copy from you the syntax for last name and first name. Concat what? Write it in full. The syntax for last name and first name. Someone is delaying me. Okay, so okay, I will try it though. It's not me. Is let me see the person that gave it to me. Trevor. If I put it, it does not work. It's not me, it's you. So now Trevor is saying that I should use, let me copy this and write it here. This is what Trevor is saying. He said, or she, male or female. So the person's Trevor said that I should use concat and I should use the first name, right? And the last name. Yeah, okay, let me add. I think this might give me. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, let me go back and paste it. Oh, what am I doing? Ouch, I copied everything. Oh my God. Okay, so now I do last name, first name concat from employees where. So let me just break this down so that we can see it. Now I need to put an alias, right? Let me just put an alias so it's not going to be messy. So let's call this full name. So I want to now say this should be where full name where full name is what can we say? What can we say about the full name? I wish we had like it was a numerical value. So let's say where full name has this, like where full name has maybe it has, let's just say it has an A inside. Okay, so let me reduce this zoom. Is this going to work? Is this going to work? Why won't this work? Are you sure this is going to work? Is it the syntax? Okay, let's see. Let me remove this where. Let's see if without this where if it's going to work. Yes, so it's working. Andrew Adams, Nancy Edwards. So let me put the where. So I don't expect it to work, right? But let's see. So it did not work. You know why it did not work? Let me go back. Let me copy this and go back through. So this is the second example. So this is the second example. You saw that when we tried this without the where clause, it worked. Do you know why? Now let me explain why. Remember that from is going to be the first to work, right? Based on the order of execution. After from, what happens? It filters. This is going to be the second. But you see, the problem here is that it has checked the entire table. It did not see any name, any column called full name. Because at this point where filtering is happening, select has not occurred. So select has not occurred because it is in select that this column was added. This is called a derived column. So select did not exist at this point that where was working. So that is why when you do this, you discover that you have an error. Okay. So instead, if you want to do this, highest, I will just copy these concats and I will just do that here. Instead of putting the alias, I'll do the concat first name before it's going to work, because now it's going to do the calculation in the where clause. Do we understand? So this is how order of execution works. So when you do something like this, you have an error, it will be easier for you to troubleshoot it because you understand why it is working. So that's what order of execution is. All right. So I hope that is clear enough for you. I believe that if you watch the recording again, you would have a good understanding. Now, somebody talk about replacing with having. So if you want to use having, okay, let's look at having. Having occurs somewhere around here. Okay. When we say having is like the filtering of group by. So you don't use having anyhow. You use having when you have group by. So if I want to include having here, I would say it's going to happen here, somewhere here. There's going to be a group by here. There's going to be having here. So you see that if you use having, you still have the issue because having will still come before select. All right. So it's not going to work. Okay. So that's how you understand the order of execution. All right. Let's now go into our Jupyter notebook. Let's see. So this is our notebook. And what we are doing here is north wind, north wind. That's the data sets. So it's going to be part of the data sets you would download, okay, when this file is being shared to you after the webinar. So we are going to do northwind.db. Okay, so I will need you to also understand something. Some persons are choosing between MySQL and Jupyter Notebook. They have reasons, all right? So MySQL is a workbench. There's MySQL workbench. Let me not say MySQL is a workbench. So MySQL is not exactly a workbench. So workbench is just one of the apps. So MySQL workbench is the graphics user interface, also called GUI. Okay, so it's more like an easier way for you to work with MySQL. Okay, that's you can use MySQL without using this workbench. That's why when you are installing MySQL, you install first the server, then this. Okay, that's why there's something called server side and serverless. Okay, we won't go so deep into that. So this is just a graphic user interface, so it's going to be pleasant to your eyes. You can use this if you want. You can directly, work on MySQL from the server side. That's like using a command line interface, just like your command prompt in your Windows system or terminal in MacBook. Okay, so you can use that to work with MySQL. So the workbench just makes it easier for you to work with the colors, syntax correction, and all those things. If you're using command prompt or terminal, it's not going to, just like something like this, it's not going to be so pleasant to the eyes, but some persons prefer that, and sometimes it's useful. But if you know this, then you can also do that because it's the same syntax everywhere. Okay, so that's what SQL Workbench is. Okay, then Jupyter Notebook is also another location that you can use MySQL. But you see the difference between, personally, I believe that the difference between using MySQL Workbench or MySQL and Jupyter Notebook is Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook is it's a notebook, right? So it captures the information. It helps you to present it properly. For example, you see this query I have done here. If I write another query, the output is going to overwrite the previous output. But in Jupyter Notebook, I can present Jupyter Notebook as a report of multiple outputs. As you can see here, you can see that anything I do, the output is going to come up, and I don't have to, I can go to another cell and write another query. So you use Jupyter Notebook mostly when you want to present your activities as a report, not when you want to just do, it's not just as a report, but if you want to be able to track the flow of your activities, of your query, of your programming, it's easier with notebook. So it's just like the word notebook is like jotting to capture information. So if I write my query here, I see the output. I go to the next one, I write another query, I see the output. So next time when I open the notebook, I can trace how I got this result from this query to this query to this query. Okay. Unlike other platforms like Visual Studio Code, even MySQL, and all those things, when you write your code, you don't get to relate with the outputs. So you see, both of them have their strengths and their weaknesses. I wouldn't really call them strengths and weakness. I would call them specialties. All right. So in the data team, especially when you get into the data science part, you would use more of the notebooks. The data engineers now are like software engineers. They use notebooks, but many times too, they could use the Visual Studio Code or other platforms, all right, to work. So because like in data science, they like seeing the progress of things until it got to this point. All right. So you see that different use cases is not, none is better than the other. All right. So that's why you are being introduced to both applications, so that when you advance, you'd be able to know when to use which and be comfortable with them. All right. So it is advisable that you should try to use both of them and not choose based on what you are comfortable with. All right. But based on what is needed. So yeah, that's it. I hope you understand that part. Okay, so when we talk about the Jupyter notebook, when we talk about the Jupyter notebook, what's Jupyter notebook has an extension called IPYNB, right? Now, this IPYNB means interactive Python notebook. So this tells you that Jupyter Notebook was originally created for Python, right? That's why the extension is Interactive Python Notebook. But we want to do SQL in it. So it's like doing SQL inside Python. So we need to involve things which are called APIs. There's something called API. API means application. Please do not memorize this. Do not, please, this is not part of your exam. It's just for you to understand, all right? So this application program interface. Is it programming or program? Okay, whatever it is, find out, please. So now what API does is just an elaborate term that means something that is used to communicate between apps. That's what you mean. This application is same thing as apps. Okay, that's what you call apps. Okay, so it's not serious. So applications. So it uses programming to connect. All right, to two applications. All right. So now that means for us to communicate with SQL in Python environment, we need to use an API. Okay, so that is where we can use MySQL in Jupyter Notebook. You can use Postgres. Any kind of SQL can be connected in Jupyter Notebook, but we prefer to use SQLite. So we are using SQLite. Okay. So now to get SQLite, we have to install what we call IPython. I'm sure you did something like this. Did you install something like this in your Jupyter notebook? Did you install something like your Jupyter notebook? IPython SQL. Right. Now, this IPython SQL is an API. It is what is saying that this is interactive Python. So it's saying that I want to interact with SQL. Okay. Then there is also another one called SQL Alchemy. Did any of you install these parts too? SQL Alchemy. Sometimes you don't have to install it. Sometimes you need to install it. Aha. So these two are the things that, this IPython SQL is what helps in your magic commands. Then this SQL Alchemy is what helps in connecting to the database. All right. So now, these things are called APIs, or you could call them libraries. They're also libraries, all right, that you put. So you installed these things. Then let's go into the magic commands. Now, in the magic commands, some persons might probably discover this or might have issues. We have two types of magic commands. There is this one, all right, and there is the double percentage. Okay, so I'll just briefly talk about this. So when we talk about the single percentage, what we are talking about is this means line magic. So this is a line magic command, and this is a cell magic command. So what it means is that in this, if you use 1% SQL, that means any query you write would only work on the same line with it. If you write any query under this, it's not going to work because this is just for the line. That's why it's called line magic. But if you want to write things under this percentage SQL, then use double percentage. So double percentage is the cell. That means the entirety of that cell, anything you write, is going to understand it as SQL. Don't worry, we are getting into it now. So this is our notebook. You can see this. Is this a line magic or a cell magic? This single percentage. Is it a line magic or a cell magic? Is a line magic. Exactly. So you can see that this works here, right? So if I run this, okay, let me just restart my kernel. So if I run this, if I'm connected to the database and I run this, you can see it works. But look at this. If I put this under this and I run this, it's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. This is working. Do you understand? Okay, sorry. This is just percentage. So this syntax is not part of it. So let me explain. So now let's go to this one. This is your database. So just you know how to do this part, right? Please be careful. When your exam file might be tmdb-000. So you can edit the name, remove the hyphen, the 00, and the space. So that's all you just have to put here is tmdb.db, right? So another thing is this file has to exist in the same location with your notebook, just like it is here. So you can see the file here and the notebook. Else it's not going to be easy to connect it. Okay, so just to be on the safe side, you can still connect it if it is in another location from your notebook, but that's going to be a bit complex. All right, so to be on the safe side, the notebook should be together with the file, all right, with the database. So now I load this. See here we have let's say let me try this. Okay, this is SQL, and let's say select all from customers. Now you see what I have here. It works. Now if I put this under here, you can see it tells me that this is invalid. Why is it invalid? Because this is a line magic. So line magic says that I use the line magic. Line magic says that I can only account for anything written in front of me as an SQL query. So anything written outside that line, Python will think, Notebook is going to think, Jupyter will think that this is a Python code, but this is not a Python syntax. And so that's why it's giving you invalid syntax, because there is nothing saying the immunity from this guy does not cover this one here. So there's nothing saying that this is an SQL. But if I use double percentage here and I run this, it works. Why? Because this double percentage SQL says anything that is written in this cell is an SQL. Okay. So now there is also something, there are some persons that will probably have errors, and maybe that's why they don't want to use Notebook. But I think from my investigation, what we've been checking recently, we realized that one of the reasons is your SQL Alchemy. Remember, I mentioned two things, right? I mentioned SQL Alchemy and and IPython SQL. So one of the reasons why you might encounter something like that is because your SQL Alchemy is like a lower, it's too high compared to what is needed. For example, if you do this command pip show SQL Alchemy, now you see my version is 1.4.46. If yours is like 2.0, then there's a likelihood that you might have errors when you're doing things, okay? So in order to avoid that, you'd have to do something. You have to do a pip install, okay? You do IPython SQL, then you are going to say SQL Alchemy 1.4.46. You can just use my version. So if you run this, it's going to install these things and install this version of SQL Alchemy. All right. So you can just rewatch this or just capture it somewhere. You can install this. It's going to install this version, and then you can restart your kernel. When you try it again, there's a likelihood that most of those errors will not occur because it can now run magic command. So the higher version of SQL Alchemy does not really work well with this IPython, which has your magic commands. So that's why you might be having some of these issues. So I discovered that when I was working on this, and I realized mine was 2.0. So I had to, reduce it to 1.4 before these things work. Yeah. So yeah, that is that. Now, to wrap all the things we've been saying, we will just choose one problem here to answer. And I want to choose what are the most recent orders from a key customer. So this is what we would answer, and then we are done with today's webinar. What are the most recent orders from a key customer? The reason why I chose that question is because I think that question is going to have a lot of things that would help us even in our exam. So let's look at this. What are the most recent orders from a key customer? Remember, I told you that it's all about the logic before we go into coding, right? So we'll build the logic here. So when we say the most recent, what do we mean? When we say the most recent, what do we mean? The most recent orders from a key customers. The most recent order. So let's say, because of time, let's just do this. So we have, first of all, we have most recent orders. We have key customer, right? We have key customer. So those are the major points to get here, right? We want to get the most recent orders from the key customers, but that means the first thing we have to do is to even know the key customers, right? So how can we define our key customers? Now we are trying to establish how to solve problems. You don't just go into the code and start writing. So we want to get the key customers. Please, how do we know the key customers? How can you understand the key customers? Yes, let's see this. How can we understand the key customers? I'm not asking for queries. I'm not asking for syntaxes. Okay, that is telling you that we're already on the wrong foot. If the first thing that you're trying to do is to write the syntax. Okay, that's not the first thing you should do. The first thing you should do is to understand the problem and try to analyze it without coding. Okay, it is a business you are trying to solve. Okay, it's a business problem you're trying to solve. So you have to start from the business part before you get into the analytical part. Okay, when you look at data first, then you start failing. All right. So now, key customer. How do we understand key customer? Those that purchase from us mostly, frequent customers. There is something I want us to understand, which is going on here, right? You can see that some persons say their key customers are frequent customers. Some persons say their key customers are those that had the highest purchase, right? So you can see that, and other ones could come up. These people are very correct. They are very right. But you can see that these are different. So imagine that you walked into your analysis straight up and started writing it. You might just get confused because these two are right. But before you choose the one that can work for your business, you need to understand your business. What does your business call key customers? Who are who are the people that they call key customers? So that is where domain expertise is needed. So you need to ask yourself questions or ask the stakeholder questions. When we talk about key customers, who are there? That they give you a question to answer does not mean you should just go straight into answering. You need to verify, you need to ask again. Okay, are there the frequent customers or are there the people that buy the highest? Different businesses can define their key customers in this way. So let's say we are choosing the highest purchase. All right. So we've gotten key customers based on the highest purchase, right? So now, when we do this, is there another thing we need to know from here? No. So that means if you just know the highest purchases, so we need to know the highest purchases and connect them to customers that bought them. Okay, so that is how we are going to get the key customers before we not even go to their most recent orders. Look at this now. So first of all, how do we get the highest purchase? It is after you've established this analytical question or this business aspect that you can now go into talking about the data. So let's go to the ERD here. Now, when we talk about the highest purchase here, that means when we talk about the highest purchase, let's go back to that our notes. Highest purchase has to do with the price, right? The price has to do with the price. In short, it's going to be price and quantity, right? When we multiply the price and quantity, that's the highest purchase. That is the price. That is the total price, right? Because somebody could buy 5 items, so at once multiply the amount by those 5 items. That's the total amount value of what the person bought. So we get the price from the other details table, right? That's it here from the other details table. So what I would do here is I would just do a review of the other details table, and I would say select all from others detail. Okay, so hope that spelling is correct. Other details. This is the details here. Yes. Let me just limit this to say 2. Now, this has given us an idea. Select all from other details. Let me even put it, say 5. Now, have you seen something else here? You've seen that we have the order ID, we have the unit price, we have the quantity. So there is no total. Else, if there was total, we would not need that calculation. So we have unit price and quantity. So we need to do a total, right? But another thing is, one order ID is appearing multiple times. So that means that we need to group this one so that we can have just one order ID with the total value. Else, it might give us an issue. So you see where this is what you understand as exploratory data analysis when you're trying to understand the data, right? So then we go into the analysis. So that means the first thing to do here is we are going to let's say select all from other details, right? So we are not just going to do this. We are going to do select order ID, then we are going to say, let's do a unit price. Let me just take it easy with you guys, okay? So let's put the derived column first. Unit price times quantity. That gives us this. Hope you are following to this point. Don't worry, we're about finishing, right? Just hold on, because I believe this is important. Just knowing this part can help you in every aspect of the exam, I believe so, because it's going to include multiple things in one. All right. So now you understand this part, right? Good. So I will change this to make it neater, right? So I'll just say something like as maybe total purchase or total price. Okay. Now, I've not solved this issue of one order ID, grouping itself. So that's group. I've already mentioned it. So that's group, right? So I need to know the total price of this one. So that means I need to say 168 plus 198 plus 174. So you know what I'm going to do? I would copy this and put it in another cell here so that you can see the progress. I will share this notebook with you. Okay, so now this is the next one. So I'm going to now say something like, I'll do some of this. All right. Then the next thing is, I also want to, when you use an aggregation, it's best to also, use a group by, right? So I'm doing this from this, then I'm grouping by, what am I grouping by? The order ID. Now, with this, you can see that I have just one order ID. Look at this table. This had 168 for this one, 98, 174. But now, this has 440. It has summed all this for this. So now, I have my order ID. And the next thing I want to do now is I want to get the orders that are the highest, right? So let's say the key, I want to get maybe the 10 orders that are the highest. So what I will do is I will now say order by total price in descending order. So you can see that there's something happening here. If you understand order of execution, total price is a derived column here. I'm using it here in order by, and it's going to work. But if I use it in where clause, it will not work. Hope you understand why. The reason is because by the time, where is the order of execution? By the time order by happens, select has already occurred, because select now is going to now declare that derived column. So that is why you can use your derived column's name here in order by, and it will work, but you cannot use it in where. Okay. So now if I run this, okay, I didn't spell it well, order by. So if I run this, you can see that it works. Okay. So now we have the orders. These are like the top. So this is top 5, right? So I could just, let me leave it at top 5. So we have the top 5 orders here. So what I want to do now is I need to now connect this to the customers. Who are the customers that made these top 5 orders? Then I've gotten my key customers based on our definition of our key customers. So now, where do we have, how is our customers connected? The challenge here is, this is the customer here. These are orders, these are order details. So that means for me to achieve order details, I have to pass through, for me to connect the customers to this order details table, I have to pass through the orders table. So that means I need to introduce maybe a join or a subquery. Okay. So let's just do, let's see what we can do. So what is going to happen here is join is better than subquery in many instances, because join is going to reserve those columns, but subquery is going to like maybe focus on just one column. So I would prefer to use join. So I want to join this with my others table. The connecting point here is the order ID. All right. So let me come here. Well, okay. So now what I would do here is I'm going to say, based on this, I could put this in a CTE, all right, to make it a bit neat. So I could just say with maybe I've gotten my top, what do we call it? I've gotten my top orders, right, as this. Okay, then limit this. I will just do that, then you're going to do the rest. All right. So now I've gotten this, and then I want to join them, right? So all right. So now I'm going to say select. I'm going to say select. Let me just put, that's why it's good to label your. So I'll say order ID, and maybe total price. Okay, total price is already there. Okay, so order ID and that. So I'm just going to say select order ID and total price. Now, this is the last query I'm going to do. Okay, this is the last query I'm going to do. So I'm going to select order ID, total price from the top orders. From top orders. Okay, from top orders. All right, then I will join it. Join it with what? With orders. Let's give it alias. Let's give this alias. So I will join it based on the fact that orders.order ID equals this dot order ID. All right. Now, when I do this, let's check if everything is right. So I'll just do this. So if I do this, I'm going to have, okay, I'm going to have, it's not going to be different, but I'm going to have my order ID and total price. But the reason why I joined this was because I needed the customer ID so that I can connect to these other ones. So the others has the customer ID, right? So this is the customer ID. Hope that's the name. Yes. So now this is the customer ID. And this is where I'm going to stop actually, because with this customer ID, you can now do another join to the customers, and you can get the customers that have these orders. All right. You can get the customers that have these orders. Remember, I didn't put the limit 5. Okay. So it gives you those 5 orders, and this is the customer's ID. So I can now connect it to the customers. Now, to get the maximum, the latest orders that they made, just use your maximum. Okay. To get the latest dates, use your max dates. So max dates gives you the maximum dates. That means the latest dates. Min dates gives you the oldest dates. All right. So that is going to help you solve these parts. Yeah, hope that is okay. I feel like I've put so much on you already. Okay, I've forgotten I'm the one sharing screen. Okay, I feel like I've put so much on you already. So I think for now, this should be okay. And hopefully, I believe you'd have learned a lot, a lot. And the recording is always there. We are going to share this for you so that you can practice for other questions. Okay, so let's go into the Q&A. Yeah, I can see just 2 questions. Okay, I think you are going to be attended to. I'm sure. Are you using Jupyter from Anaconda? No, I'm using Jupyter from my command prompt. Okay, so maybe That's like beyond the scope of this webinar for now. Maybe in one of the office hours, we can look at how you could use Jupyter aside from Anaconda. All right. So I see that people are having issues with Anaconda as well. So I should have probably talked about that, but it would have been too much information in one webinar. So I think that is all. There is no more to talk about. I think Aniebet, you can bring up the poll so people could fill in as we go into the next part of it. Oh, the questions are increasing. Can you share the link to this webinar? Of course, the link is going to be shared to you after this. Is there a way to get the same result using View? You can get the same result using View. View does not change anything, right? View is just how to see the table. That's all. View just makes sure that you cannot, when you use View for tables, it means that the person that is going to see that table cannot, the person that is going to see that table cannot edit or modify. It can only, use the select query. Yeah. The syntax for SQLite is always different. What do we do? It's not really different. It's not really different. Okay, just very minor aspects, like you can't use certain things in SQLite, right? But the things you need, the manipulations of your queries, SQLite can handle those things. Okay. How do you solve indentation error? You don't have indentation errors in SQL because SQL is just have your semicolon at the end of the query, okay, and then everything is fine. So you might have syntax error, but not indentation error. Indentation error is the spacing between your commands. Anywhere you put your command works as far as you separate your columns with a comma and there's a semicolon to end it. And the queries you use like select, all those things are intact. But the way you indent your stuff is in Python, you probably see something like indentation error. Oh, I have never tried using Jupyter loading the DB files. So how do you do this, please? Jupyter, then you have to go pass through. You can just go through the walkthrough how to do that. .db is different from .sql, except you are talking about .sql. .sql you use it in MySQL, but in Jupyter Notebook is .db. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for thanking me for this session. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So I think I would call it a day here, and I'll hand it over to Aniebet. I would include this notebook and the jotter or the notes I did on the notepad. All right, I will add it as additional resources to the slide so you can read those things and have access to the notebook as well. Yeah. So thank you very much and best of luck in your exam.
Okay, guys. That is from your technical mentor. Best of luck. So please, if you know what to do, go and frame it and keep so that you will remember that he gave you best of luck. But please, let's put up our wonderful hands and emojis. Let it keep rolling. And please don't forget to engage on the poll. Did you understand this session? And please let us know. Okay, then our learning and technical support with them for all support, for all program support, I'd say. So if you have any problem with your program, you can't make payment or whatsoever, please log a ticket on Zendesk and the support team will be there before you even approach us at the program team. So yeah, and also Answerbase is our dedicated channel to ask and get answer complex content questions. We tell you that our TMs are always there. They're always there to respond to you. So please go to Answerbase whenever you have any challenges. Don't go on the exam date. Don't go on the exam date. Just, anything that seems complex to you, just make sure you log in that complaint there. So yes, please, to our announcements and our next steps. Next slide. Yeah. So your your assessment SQL exam, the movie database MCQ, is going to be due on Tuesday, 19th August at 9:59 p.m. GMT. And don't wait till the dying minute. Don't wait till it's 9:50, or don't wait till it's 9:30 before you start trying to, complete your assessments. Please do it on time. Don't I would say don't be like me. But please do well to complete your assessments before that time. And then your squad leads are hosting study group discussions every week. Yeah, these guys post on your squad spaces that, oh, we're having some study group discussions. Join in, join in, join in. Please do well to join in. Watch out for their session details and please join in. Yes, spare out time to join in. Yes, so we'll have a new module next week. Please make sure you are up to date with your assessments wherever you are lagging. Wherever you are lagging, please make sure you are up to date. You are up to date with all your assessments. And yes, I want to say a very big thank you, guys, for coming for this session, for coming for this webinar. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much.
Ay, Fonsi, Chihuahua. Oh, oh no, oh no, oh. Hey. Sí, sabes que ya llevo un rato mirándote. Tengo que bailar contigo hoy. Chihuahua. Vi que tu mirada ya estaba llamándome. Muéstrame el camino que yo voy. Oh, tú eres el imán y yo soy el metal. Me voy acercando y voy armando el plan. Solo con pensarlo se acelera el pulso. Oh yeah, ya me está gustando más de lo normal. Todos mis sentidos van pidiendo más. Esto hay que tomarlo sin ningún apuro. Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello despacito. Deja que te diga cosas al oído, para que te acuerdes si no estás conmigo. Despacito, quiero desnudarte a besos despacito. Firma las paredes de tu laberinto y hacer de tu cuerpo todo un manuscrito. Sube, 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 sube. Quiero ver bailar tu pelo, quiero ser tu ritmo. Que le enseñes a mi boca tus lugares favoritos. Favorito, favorito, baby. Déjame sobrepasar tus zonas de peligro hasta provocar tus gritos y que olvides tu apellido. Si te pido un beso, vendámelo. Yo sé que estás pensándolo. Llevo tiempo intentándolo. Mami, estoy dando y dándolo. Sabe que tu corazón conmigo te hace bam bam. Sabe que esa beba está buscando de mi bam bam. Me pruebas de mi boca para ver cómo te sabe. Quiero ver cuánto amor a ti te cabe. Yo no tengo prisa, yo me quiero dar el viaje. Empezamos lento, después salvaje. Pasito a pasito, suave, suavecito. Nos vamos pegando poquito a poquito. Cuando tú me besas con esa destreza, veo que eres malicia con delicadeza. Pasito a pasito, suave, suavecito. Nos vamos pegando poquito a poquito. Y es que esa belleza es un rompecabezas, pero para montarlo aquí tengo la pieza. Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello despacito. Deja que te diga cosas al oído, para que te acuerdes si no estás conmigo. Despacito, quiero desnudarte a besos despacito. Firma las paredes de tu laberinto y hacer de tu cuerpo todo un manuscrito. Sube, 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 sube. Quiero ver bailar tu pelo, quiero ser tu ritmo. Que le enseñes a mi boca tus lugares favoritos. Favorito, favorito, baby. Déjame sobrepasar Vamos a hacerlo en una playa en Puerto Rico, hasta que las olas griten ay bendito, para que mi sello se quede contigo.
Pasito a pasito, suave suavecito, lo vamos pegando poquito a poquito.
Enseñes a mi boca tus lugares favoritos.
Favorito, favorito, pasito a pasito, suave suavecito, lo vamos pegando poquito a
Hasta
poquito.
provocar todo